In this episode of Financial Literacy for Beginners, we're going to talk about the money concepts that changed my life. Cue the intro. So like a lot of people, I grew up in a working class family, and I've said this before, where, work was all about, getting a job and working hard for someone else. And, growing up in that type of environment, there are two things that happened. For me, it was my work ethic was very strong. Like I had a very strong work ethic, and I really developed into a person that didn't shy away from working hard, didn't shy away from putting in the work that needed to be put in and getting things done, whatever that needed to be done, I was there and, willing to do it. And the other part of it was not really understanding how money was made off of the work that I was doing, specifically for other people. And I think that is largely what happens a lot in working class families, where our understanding of work and money is always segmented into, no, you have to work hard and take the money that you get and try to save some and try to get more education so that you can get better jobs and things like that, and work hard for someone else. And yes, even if you have entrepreneurial dreams and things like that, you're not really thinking from a place of building business in a way that you're not working in it. You're thinking from a perspective of, kind of a mom and pop perspective of business, where, even if you are having your own business, you're still an employee. You have that employee mindset. So I want to talk about the shift that happened in me that really got me to start thinking differently about that, and really getting on a different path in life in terms of my finances and kind of what I believed about money. So growing up, I was really into art, and I know we've talked about this before, but for people that aren't initiated in my background in visual arts, music arts, and all those things, long story short, I was blessed to get to a point where I was really good at, creating, and really good at music and all of those things. And, I ended up becoming a music producer, a visual artist, and making more money doing that in a shorter amount of time than I was at a regular job in my career. Yes, I went to college, and yes, I, have a career in visual communications and all those things. And, I went through the whole college thing and all of that. So I understand, that background, and I don't discredit that. I think college is a great thing. And I think, higher education is a great thing if used, in the right way. And we'll talk about that, in more extent in another video. But I want to stick to the, how it really changed my perspective when I started to do the work that I do and make more money than I would an entire year at my job, making like $30,000 in a month, $60,000 in 3 weeks. It's like making that kind of money doing, creative things really start to change my mind about, how the work that I do adds up to compensation. And once you get to that place, even if it's in a short amount of time, you get a thirst for knowledge in terms of financial literacy. You get a thirst for, how do I do that more? How do I create scenarios where I'm always making more than I would at, a normal job or a career, or, whatever society has told me the dollar amount is for this particular thing that I'm doing for someone else? How do I get to the point where I'm doing that consistently? And, that was the first concept that really changed my mind. It was, making more in a shorter amount of time. That really was mind blowing for me. So it opened me up to a lot of different possibilities. And, I continue working. Like I'm a strong, believer of, continuing to do the things that you're good at and, building those relationships, even if they're in a career setting. I never stop doing that because I believe in that. I believe in, it's such a great thing to be in an environment where you can see all the inner workings of how the world works, because you're seeing it through a lot of different lenses. And that's what, being in a career in a working environment really does. When you're around different people in different walks of life, you get to see kind of different worldviews that you wouldn't normally see if you are kind of siloed and just doing something that is shut off from the world, and you're making all this money, and you're kind of shut off from the working world and people who are in that mode in their life. And so that's very important. So continuing to do that. The other concept that stuck out for me is when I started to really see how the people who were making more money, how they were keeping a lot more of their money than people who weren't making as much money. And, talking about in terms of taxes and things like that. And it really opened my eyes to really this world of wealth building that, doesn't exist in a working class environment. And, it's right outside of the surface of it, because even if you're making more money and you're not really thinking about things in that way, you really don't begin to grasp the enormity of the information gap that is happening when you are thinking about things from that perspective and not thinking about things from a wealth building perspective. It's a totally different mindset. And, those two concepts really started to shape how I felt about my place from a financial standpoint, and my place with money and what I needed to do. And once I started to think about things differently that way, it was like a light bulb. It just turned on in me, like I need to immerse myself in the understanding of how wealth is built and how wealthy people are really conducting themselves from a financial standpoint. And not shy away from it, because that's the other thing that you learn in a working class environment, is that you kind of develop this rich people are evil kind of mentality about building wealth. And it's really built out of fear. It's really built out of fear, and it's built out of not understanding that you can be wealthy as well, and that you can achieve things. So even if you are wanting to be rich, everybody wants to be rich, even when you are, from poverty or from working class, you want to be more well off. Even if you are thinking that way, if you don't understand how wealth is built and you don't have that wealth mindset, it's harder to achieve that place, because you're not thinking that way. You're thinking, no, I gotta work more. I gotta get a better job, and I gotta work more. I put more time in, and I really thought like that. When I was younger, I really thought like that. I thought, putting more time in on someone's job was gonna, make me wealthier, and it's like, it's nothing that's farther from the truth, because you're not going to get rich or wealthy just working for someone else, because the financial structure is not even built that way. It's not built that way for you to actually achieve that, especially if you're living in a lifestyle where you're just keeping up with whatever is happening monetarily in the lifestyle that you're in. And that is the mentality that you have when you are in that ecosystem. So it's very important, if you do want to get to that next point or start moving in that direction of financial freedom, is very important. Those two concepts are so important. That understanding of, I can make more doing less, and I need to understand how to keep more of what I make. And the third concept that really changed my life was the concept of investing and understanding how that really works. And, once you have extra money and you start to dabble in the investing world and really understand how that works, it's mind blowing. It's an eye opener, because you start to see how easy it is to navigate the financial world without being a victim of it. And that is a very freeing thing. And I want people to really understand how freeing that is. And that's a large part of why I do what I do, and what I'm doing here is I want people to get to that point of freedom, You know, it is a freeing thing to really get control of your finances and see that I can do better. I can make more. I can understand what's happening with my finances, and I can move to a better place in what I'm doing. I don't have to toil in what I'm doing. I don't have to be a victim to my finances, and my money understanding doesn't have to be an obstacle. I can move into a better understanding of money. And once those concepts really soak in, you get to that place where you can have a better understanding of money and move in the spirit of that. I hope this has been extremely helpful for someone. And until we talk again, I wish you health, wealth, and freedom.